feel like we've been warned. Shannon, you have the money to pay the troops on.
Hello, world. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. TJ, I think we have the intro running, doubling up again today. Let's see if we are up and running. Hey, everyone, you look great. It is me, Shannon Joy. We're broadcasting live on...
Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show.
We have a
TJ,
reverb. I don't know what is going on here.
Running, doubling up again today.
This is crazy.
Let's see if we are up and running. Hey, everyone, you look great. It is me, Shannon.
That is nuts. All right, here we go. Welcome, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. For whatever reason, my show was playing back to me in the intro. This is the second time it happened this week. I'm not sure why this is happening, but I think we're all set. You guys look great today on the live chat. Again, I am Shannon Joy. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy virtual studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It's great to be with all of you today. It is Thursday, October 16th, and you can see the headlines today in just about 35 minutes. We're going to be welcoming Dr. William Makis into the Joy virtual studio. He is one of the world's foremost experts on the cancer epidemic sweeping across not only this nation, but the globe, exponentially growing post rollout of Operation Warp Speed and the poison SV40 laden COVID-19 shots. It is leading to an explosion in turbo cancers, early onset cancers, cancers among children. And there is no better expert in the world than Dr. William Makis. Not only does he have a handle on what is happening regarding these cancers, but he also is working diligently on curing them using a combination of ivermectin, fenbendazole, and menbendazole, among other things. So we're going to get an update from Dr. Makis at 12:45 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Shannon Joy Show. Why are so many people sick, and why is the government hiding the cancer statistics? As Dr. Mary Talley Bowden pointed out yesterday, and actually multiple times on her Twitter account, the U.S. government and the CDC has not released the number of cancers or the rate of cancer in the U.S. for many, many years. What are they hiding, and why are they hiding it? So I don't know about all of you, but I do feel like I hear a new story about a cancer diagnosis or a death almost every single day. And there is very little acknowledgement, even in mainstream news media, right-wing news media, about what is going on. And as I mentioned, the federal government is actively hiding the numbers. So we need to find out what's really going on. Big interview with Dr. William Makis just a little bit later right here on the Shannon Joy Show. The bigger news today, though, and I'm going to get to all of you on the live chat in just a minute, is Trump's golden economy. It looks like it's fake news. And there has been a lot. It's certainly been a fire hose in my face in terms of the headlines just over the past 24 hours. Over the weekend, and we talked a little bit about this the day before yesterday with Jack Gamble when he joined us on the Shannon Joy Show. But, you know, what's happening in the gold and silver markets, there is a full-scale gold rush, and silver is breaking out for the first time in history. Some are predicting that silver could reach over $100 per ounce by the end of the year, gold skyrocketing to $5,000 per ounce by the end of the year. And some are saying that's a very conservative estimate. This is indicative of a lack of confidence in not only the United States economy and the United States financial markets and the United States government itself. Remember, the dollar is the world reserve currency, right? But it's also indicating a lack of confidence in governments and economies across the globe, even our competitors in China. And so this is creating a mad rush. I mean, the images of the lines outside of gold and silver distributors across Europe and Asia are absolutely astounding. And there's a lot of news coming out right now. We have some videos. Scott Bessent out now begging Donald Trump to declare a national emergency to handle the United States economy. These aren't the words of someone who believes that our economic situation is stable. We have Donald Trump coming out saying that it's official. We're declaring a trade war with China. I can assure you guys, throughout human history, and you can take this to the bank if it's not crashing right now, that trade wars lead to kinetic wars. Trade wars lead to real wars. And this is something that we talked about with Jack Gamble a couple days ago. He is predicting that we will be in full-scale World War III by 2027. And I know that sounds alarming. You know, sometimes I laugh. I shouldn't, but, because things are so dire right now. But I was talking to my husband, devastatingly handsome Dr. Joy, about this yesterday, and my daughter. And she's actually studying this in one of her history classes right now. And I was saying, when I talk about World War III in 2027, from my perspective, because we have been delving into this and preparing for this for the past 2 years, right? While everyone else in the conservative media is celebrating a Trump victory and focusing on the intrigue of MAGA and the political parties and the political infighting among conservatives, we're going to talk about that a little bit today as well. We here at the Shannon Joy Show have been diligently warning this audience and preparing for what is coming. There has been no substantial difference in the economic and financial policies of Donald Trump in the first 8 months of his presidency to what we saw from Joe Biden in his 4-year presidency, or Trump before him, or Obama before Trump, right? So, we have seen a steady drum beat of profligate spending, mismanagement of the U.S. economy, complete corruption in Washington, D.C., the revolving door with the medical industrial complex and the military industrial complex, the money printing, the mismanagement of monetary policy by our Federal Reserve, and the Ponzi schemes that have built up out of that. This has been going on, as you guys know, for 20 to 30, 40 years. It's only ramped up and accelerated over the past 5 years since the lockdowns of 2020. If things were different, believe me, I would be here telling you, and I would be celebrating along with you. And believe me, gold and silver would not be skyrocketing in the way that they are over the past weekend. Now, gold and silver skyrocketing is really good for people who have been diversifying their retirement and their portfolios, moving money into physical metals and real estate and those industries outside of the AI bubble and the tech stocks, right? But it's not good for the situation here in the US. It's not good for the dollar. It's not good for our banking system, and it's not good for the American people. Now, Trump, since he came into office, he's touting these tariffs. Of course, tariffs are taxes. And his tariff actions they've been like a nuclear bomb dropped on the American people. He's putting every American family on the front line of a trade war that is now alienating us from our trading partners across the globe and pushing China into the arms of new suppliers and new trading partners, which is putting even more pressure on the U.S. economy. And so it's one thing after another. And this is why regional banks, this is from the Coastal Journal just a couple minutes ago, regional banks are crashing. They have entered a correction mode, and the majority of regional banks right now, as I speak to you today, are down 10 to 20%. And they are also reporting that overnight repo ops have been rising. So the repo market is going crazy. That's where you go to find out what is happening with, the real story in this economy. As I mentioned, Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury, is calling for a national emergency to address the United States economy. You do not do that when we are in a golden era economy, when Trump is declaring a golden economy. That's fake news, completely fake news. Again, Trump declaring the trade war with China. We now have a mad rush, as I mentioned, for gold across Europe and Asia. Interestingly enough, it's not come to the United States of America yet because we are so buried under propaganda, particularly Republicans and conservatives who have been sold a line of goods. You have been lied to by the majority of conservative media, Con Inc., Bizarro Con, and MAGA. They've been telling you that this economy is booming, and that has been a lie, a complete lie, like the biggest whopper you can ever imagine. And it is all now coming home to roost. And so typically you would have conservatives and Republicans, fiscal conservatives, buying up gold and silver, getting into the retail gold and silver market because they could see the writing on the wall. But they have been so deluded and so propagandized by this administration to believe that this economy is booming that they are not even protecting themselves. It is tragic. And I think that might be one of the reasons that we are not seeing more action here in the US in the gold and silver markets and metals in general. Metals, real things, real estate, all of the things right now are, as people are beginning to realize that it's one giant Ponzi scheme. There's no there. Trump's economy is not golden. It is fake news. And as I mentioned, American families are on the front lines of Trump's trade war, and they are getting crushed. The market isn't buying all of the propaganda about the golden economy and a booming stock market. And this is becoming very evident. The wheels are off the jalopy, by the way, of the tech boom as well, and artificial intelligence. In fact, we have an article from Bloomberg. OpenAI is now having to move into the porn industry with sex bots, right, to deliver to their 800 million users because they can't turn a profit. All right. So artificial intelligence, it was supposed to cure cancer. It was supposed to be the wave of the future. We are finding that they have not been able to profit. It has not only not been beneficial to its users, but it's actually creating more work for the users as it churns out, a lot more problems than it's actually solving. So this is the reality. And meanwhile, conservative media is in a spat. They're not talking about this. Like your biggest influencers and pundits, Fox News, they're talking about the Politico story of the new Republicans in New York State, or the young Republicans in New York State. They're pretty vile, pretty racist, pretty disgusting. And now conservative media is in a massive battle over whether or not to, batten down the hatches and allow these guys, not hold these guys accountable and not call them out, or, actually hold them accountable. And it's just ridiculous. So that's what they're talking about. It's just crazy. So the first topic today, we're going to get to the economy. Trump's policies are like a nuclear bomb on an already fragile economy. And this is all playing out now. We're seeing it happening in real time. It's crazy. But also Christian conservatives and constitutionalists, I do believe, are being squeezed out of Trump Inc. as Bizarro Con insists that they accept the racists and the fascists and the anti-Semites and all of the very vile people that have been exposed in the recent Politico piece exposing the young Republicans in New York. Yeah, it's crazy. Clones on the live chat. Government shutdown, Gaza, Charlie Kirk, Ukraine, Fauci yesterday, all distractions. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get back to my squirrel reports. Basically, I would come in Trump's first administration, I would come in and list through 3, 4, 5, 6 headlines that were being reported on ad nauseum by conservative media, only for the purpose of instructing my audience to completely ignore them because they don't matter, right? There are actual real stories that are going to matter and going to impact your family and your finances. And sadly, yes, sleeping giant 111, America today has been built on a foundation of lies. And Trump is doing business with Albert Bourla. And OpenAI is now reverting to porn, right? Because they can't turn a profit. For those of you who have faced the reality of this economy, they're also throwing around stagflation, recession, currency crisis, liquidity crisis, you name it, it's out there from the outlets that are keeping an eye on these things. But even the big ones like Bloomberg are saying the S word, and that is stagflation. It's the worst possible scenario. It means that your money is losing value. They're continuing to print money, but the economy is not heating up, and there are no jobs, and the jobs that are available are paying less and less. So Americans are squeezed from every angle. And not only are Americans being squeezed by inflation because of the money printing and the Federal Reserve policy, the monetary policy being pushed by Scott Bessent, but now you are doubly, triply, and quadruply being pinched as a millennial, a Gen Z, a small family, a mature family, and even the boomers by the trade policies, the tariff faxes that Trump has put in place, which we weren't feeling in the first 3 to 6 months because corporations and companies were absorbing them, but now they can't absorb them anymore. Companies are going out of business. They're laying off workers. They're raising prices. And now they're passing on those tariff taxes to all of you. So it's the worst of the worst situations. And the people who are into real estate, real things like gold and silver, will be the people who will survive, because something is coming. So we are going to talk about those two topics today. Of course, we're going to get to Dr. William Makis in about 15, 20 minutes. But I do want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Vive Biotics. As you know, I always trust my gut, but I don't trust my gut when it's imbalanced. And most people don't realize that most Americans have a gut balance that is way off. You're supposed to have 85% good gut bacteria to 15% bad gut bacteria. And most of those percentages are off in most Americans. And this is going to lead to all kinds of nasty things like bloating, low energy, or just waking up and feeling off, not feeling sharp. And I know that feeling. It's why I have been focusing on my gut over the last few months. And I love the product from Perfect Origin. It is Vive Biotic. It is a great product. It's liquid form, so it's easy to take. It's not your run-of-the-mill probiotic pill. It has great absorption. It has like a sweet and sour taste. I drop it on my tongue every single morning. It tastes good. And it is an amazing way to make sure that you have a balanced gut. So this stuff has 15 different probiotic strains. It has prebiotics, and they've put them through a special fermentation process so that they actually survive your stomach acid and make it to your intestines. And that's where the magic happens. It's when they can do the real work. This is going to help you restore your gut biome to 85% to 15% good to bad bacteria. It's also going to do wonders for your digestion. It's going to reduce bloating. That's something that I have noticed. My stomach is flatter than it has been, I want to say, in 3 or 4 years. And I don't know if it's a menopause thing and that's why I'm getting all this bloat. But once I started focusing on my gut and making sure that my gut biome was in check, I have noticed a much, much flatter stomach. My pants fit the way they used to fit, which is awesome. And in addition to that, it supports regularity. It boosts your immune system, your energy levels, and of course, your mood. So I will never be without my Vive Biotics. You guys are going to love this as well. Again, vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free, non-GMO, and it's in liquid form, so it's easy to take. Right now, 25% off. That is 25% off with the discount code JOY. So you're going to go to www.perfectorigins.com/-VB. I know it's funky, that URL. So TJ is going to pop that up in the live chat and in the comment section on the live chat so that you guys can make sure to link on that so you can get access to that amazing 25% off discount with the promo code JOY. They also have a free 180-day money back guarantee. So use the entire product. You are going to absolutely love it. They're so confident that you're going to love it that they're willing to take the empty bottle back for free and give you a full refund. So 180-day money back guarantee. Let's get your gut in check. Get that biome nice and balanced. You're going to feel great. Your pants are going to fit better. And you can get that all with Vive Biotics from Perfect Origins. Okay, let's go to the live chat. Let's say hello to all of you. Buskman is with us on the live chat today. How are you guys feeling with this economy? Are you this is crazy. This is crazy. Scott Bessent, let's get to some of the videos. Scott Bessent, on one hand, is begging. This is the second time in a week that Scott Bessent has trotted out the language about declaring a national emergency so that they can deal with the U.S. economy. In addition to, by the way, guys, remember, our government is shut down right now, quote unquote shut down, right? They still haven't reopened the government. I don't know if they're going to reopen our government because right now they are pulling some serious shenanigans behind the scenes, using the government shutdown and that emergency as an excuse to do some kind of crazy things with the economy. yesterday, October 15th, we have heard a lot about the United States military personnel not getting their paychecks. Well, somehow yesterday, their paychecks came through, only they weren't authorized by Congress, and the government is technically shut down, right? So how are they pushing out that funding mechanism? What are they doing in the dark behind the scenes right now under the fog of war and the shutdown of the United States government? Now we have ramping up rhetoric from Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, calling on Trump once again to declare a national emergency so that they could handle the economy. Trump, with the rhetoric, as I mentioned, declaring a trade war with China. Now, on the other side of their mouth, they're declaring that this is the best economy ever, that there is no inflation. By the way, no one in the market, no one in the United States of America is buying that there's no inflation. It's absolutely absurd. And every time Trump tries to put that out, he gets ratioed. They just smash him right down. This is another matter of the market in the US not buying the propaganda. And that propaganda about the booming economy is coming not only from the Trump administration and the sycophants in conservative media, it's coming from left-wing media as well. So you have now what look to be secret operations or mechanisms for funding the military in a government shutdown, which, when I called last week, when I said I was on a Spaces, the morning diner Spaces with non-hyphenated, Bonked Carnivore, and a bunch of other people. And I said to them, I'm like, I don't know if they're ever going to open this government ever again, because there's just way too much they can do in the shadows and in the dark and justify it because of the government's shutdown. And look how Trump used that rhetoric, right? He used the plight of the military. The conservative Republicans are already very conditioned to support the military and the troops, and that's not a bad thing, but they're using that sympathy and that support to justify somehow dumping billions of dollars into an account so that they could pay the troops. It's crazy, right? But if that is normalized, we are not in a constitutional republic. We are not in a functioning republic. We're not in a democracy. This is a banana republic. This is completely outside of the law and completely untethered from the Constitution of the United States of America, which requires that Congress approve and appropriate all funding. The executive branch can't do that. But Trump did allude. Let's go to that video first, where Trump did allude. And, they questioned him. How are you going to pay the military? This is what he said yesterday or the day before. TJ, if you could go ahead and play that video, and then we'll get to the Scott Bessent video as well.
You have the money to pay the troops on October 15th. Okay.
I actually have a man who is a very wealthy person. You'll know that when I tell you this. Who called a donor, a great gentleman, and he said, if there's any money necessary, shortfall, for the paying of the troops, then I will pay it, meaning he will pay it. How about that?
So a very wealthy, anonymous donor called President Trump and said that he would pay the troops, which by default would make our United States military a private mercenary organization. Because remember, you follow and obey the people who pay you. So Trump's not paying the military. Our taxes aren't paying the military. Congress isn't paying the military. The US government isn't paying the military. A super shady, secret, backroom donor of the president is now paying our standing army. Is that what happened? Is that how billions of dollars got dumped into the pockets of United States military personnel yesterday? This is I don't even know what to call this. I mean, we're talking about a private mercenary machine that no longer serves we the people, no longer is constrained by the Constitution of the United States of America. No, they answer to Donald Trump and his secret billionaire donor. Does anyone in conservative media see a problem with this. I mean, I just cannot even. It's an oligarch. I don't know what this is. It is a banana republic. It's a dictatorship. It's a techno-fascist military. I don't know what this is. And the craziest thing about this is that there's no outrage. There's no one in conservative media is even reporting on this. In fact, Fox News is like, yeah, this is great. We're going to get the troops paid. Now, out of, here we have the rhetoric. And by the way, you wouldn't have issues paying the military if you're balancing your budget and trillions of dollars were coming into the treasury and we had all kinds of money to play with. We wouldn't need to shut down the economy. We wouldn't have a budget issue. We wouldn't need to print money. We wouldn't need to engage in all of the activities that this president and this Treasury Secretary are engaging in. So they're talking out of both sides of their mouths. Scott Bessent is saying, we're in the third inning of an economic boom, right? He says that AI, artificial intelligence, everyone knows AI and technology, it's a joke at this point. Everyone knows it's a bubble. And this is why OpenAI has to resort to, porn bots and pornography because they're not making any money. The circular investing model, which is a scheme and a scam, fraudulent and probably illegal because they're cooking the books. They're making it look like AI and tech stocks are booming and producing gains when they're all just stuffing printed money into each other's pockets. Okay, so this is all falling apart. This is all falling apart. We have been proven right. The Shannon Joy Show and what we have been telling you in a few other outlets, people like Peter Schiff and Aaron Day and Catherine Austin Fitz, David Knight, Patrick Wood over at Technocracy, Whitney Webb and the folks over at Unlimited Hangout, Courtney Turner, David Leach over at the Strident Conservative, Daniel Horowitz. And if I'm missing anyone, remind me. We were right, they were wrong. A handful of independents. The folks over at the Free Thought Project, Last American Vagabond, Ryan Christian, Derek Bros. Amazing reporting. We were right, they were wrong. And it is now falling apart. And people probably won't know until too late. But something is happening. Let's go to the Scott Bessent soundbite, TJ, as he's calling for. So he's telling, on one hand, he is telling the press that we are in the third inning of an economic boom, which is outrageous and insane. All right. He's saying that AI and tech are about to deliver. And he also gets really, really irritated when he's pressed on this issue of tariffs being taxes. And this is when he gets irritated with the reporter who asked the question. And that's when he goes into, well, you know what, we're going to have tariffs are taxes, by the way. And they're crushing this economy, creating stagflation, making everything worse. And this is why we have to go to war. This is why they're starting with a trade war, which will become an actual war. And it's because, quite frankly, both the Chinese government and the American governments have been screwing their people for decades. And they have nowhere else to go. They have been manipulating and inflating their economies. The U.S. has been manipulating and inflating the dollar as the reserve currency for the world. So they're screwing their trading partners abroad, screwing the American people here. And the governments are now caught with their pants down. The Chinese government and the United States government, they both need this war. They both want this war. And it's going to be our job, we the people here in the US and in countries across the globe, it's going to be our job to say, oh, hell no, you are not taking us to war. We are going to fix our own economy from the bottom up. We are going to help our fellow neighbors. We're going to get this thing going. The government needs to be tossed into the dustbin of history. These are the issues that we're going to be grappling with over the next 18 months as they push us desperately into a kinetic war with China. Some people think it's inevitable, but I don't think that it is. I think that the level of trust is so low of our governments, not just here in the US, but in China as well. And we know what they're up to. In fact, we so do not trust the news that it doesn't matter what false flag they dump on us. It doesn't matter what psyop they try to deploy on us. We don't buy it. We learned our lessons through COVID. We've learned a lot of lessons through COVID. And even though, there are too many Americans who continue to trust in this two-party political system, Trump and Biden, there are enough Americans who are awake. And they might not be as prepared as they need to be, but they know what is going on. And this is why they're not buying this rhetoric of a golden booming economy, because they're going to the grocery store every day. Their kids can't buy a home. Most Americans wouldn't be able to buy their own home, the home they live in currently, because of inflation. Energy prices are up. Gas is up. Groceries are up. Housing prices are up. Everything is bad for the American people, and our wages are low, and the jobs are just evaporating as this economy just churns to a halt under the weight of profligate spending in our corrupt governments, Democrat and Republicans. So we have a lot of work to do in the next 18 months, waking as many people up as humanly possible. We do not have to go to war. Don't let anyone tell you that. And they're going to set this up. The big bad Chinese AI is so scary. So we need our big bad American AI and tech, surveillance and digital prison to go up against them. They're going to try to ramp up their digital prison and their security state and their fascistic policies, both the Chinese government and the US government, as they try to justify that to their people because they have to win the arms race. And that arms race is going to land us squarely in World War III. They can't do it without our consent. If enough Americans, not the majority, literally 15 to 20 to 30% of us say, oh, hell no, this is not happening. We're going to get into gold. We're going to get into real estate. We're going to protect ourselves. We're going to take care of our families. We are going to peacefully not comply. We're going to use civil disobedience. We are not going to riot, but we are going to stand up and speak out and withdraw our consent. If we withdraw our consent, they can't do it. They can't do it. I promise you guys. So that's what we need to do. Let's go to the Scott Bessent, TJ. So let's go to Scott Bessent and that soundbite about taking us to, declaring a national emergency. Remember, that means no constitutional protections, right? It's over. They rip apart the Constitution, zero liability for anyone. So if they declare an economic national emergency, that's when they're setting in. That's when they're going to do the funny business with your 401k. That's when they're going to try to tokenize everything, move us into tokens, meme coins, stable coins, Trump coins, whatever, you name it. It's all going to be crypto, and they're going to try to lure you into it by crashing our economy and messing with people's retirement. And so this is what Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, had to say about that.
People blame the current government for the shutdown. I know you're blaming the Democrats, but often the blame goes to who's in power.
How's that? Mike Johnson passed a clean CR.
Right.
3 Democratic senators have come over.
Leader
Thune has a vote every day, and they want to negotiate. We're saying reopen the government, negotiate.
Is it hurting the economy?
I've seen numbers that are starting to hurt the economy, maybe up to $15 billion a day.
All right, that was not the clip that I wanted to run, but it was a clip. Basically, what he's saying though is he was asking. There is an audio clip of Scott Bessent saying that we needed to declare a national emergency. And so if we can find that, TJ, that would be great. If not, that's all right. I will try to run it tomorrow. Fez Woody is on. Oh, I love that comment, Fez Woody. There was a huge push for going into war in 1916, but there was a huge push back to going to war in 1916, but Wilson did it anyway. Yes, that doesn't mean that we have to, Fez Woody. Zen Woman is with us on the live chat. Buskman, yes, the remnant. It's not a majority. Most people think you need a majority of the American population to be in opposition to something or to opt out of something. What we learned during COVID is that you really just need a minority. I think it was 30 to 40% of the American people who refused to take the COVID-19 shots. That basically ended it for pharmaceutical corporations. And now the market, this is why most Americans are not following the CDC recommended schedule. And more, like huge percentages of young parents are opting out of the childhood vaccine schedule altogether. So the market is now completely distrustful of big pharma, big medicine, the medical industrial complex. And that is because 30 to 40% of the American people refused those vaccines and became the control group. But the key is, that 30 to 40% that refused to take the shots, they were influenced by an even smaller percentage of Americans who were actively out there pushing back against all of the COVID lockdown mechanisms. So locking down the schools, the social distancing, the masking, and all of it. And I would say that group was even smaller. Probably 15% of the population was active and engaged in alerting and making aware as many people as humanly possible. And that was a great victory, right? But that was only the first part of the war, right? That was the first half of the war. And many people could make the argument that we are in war right now. Our own governments have declared war against we the people. And they started with the lockdowns of 2020 in China and in the US and in Western democracies across the globe, as they try to move us into, they want to get rid of nation states. So they want to move us into a global governance. So in some ways, these governments are working together. They're working for the larger oligarchical powers, the big money powers that control a lot of what we see happening within our governments. So it's a strange situation that we're in, but you could make the argument that our government declared war on our Constitution and we the people in the spring of 2020. And the casualties, I mean, when you talk about a war, it won't be, we probably won't fight a war similar to ones that we fought in the past. But if you look at what happened in the hospitals, the democide, when you look what happened to people who have been injected with the COVID-19 shots, which are indeed bioweapons, they were pushed out by the Department of Defense. You can realize that the killing doesn't necessarily have to happen on a battlefield. It doesn't have to happen, with nuclear bombs or intercontinental ballistic missiles or firearms, right? They can create mass casualty situations at the point of a needle as opposed to the point of a gun. And so people just need to reorient their minds about who we're dealing with here. One of the reasons that in the US we cannot see the villains in the federal government is because we are so divided, D versus R. So that's why they like to keep us divided. Buskman is with us on the live chat. Apricot pits can cure cancer. Love your name. They are pushing flu shots. You can do it at home now as a mist. People must not be taking them. Exactly. Oh, yeah. They really want us to take those flu shots. Who else do we have on the live chat? I want to say hi to all of you. Hey, Honor Seeker. Great to see you on the live chat. Sleeping Giant 111. Great to see you as well. Mrs. Lovely, Gregory Manarino has been sounding the alarm. Appreciate that. Strident Conservative. The private donor, the Trump private donor funding the military is like one of the most insane things that I've seen in a long time. We also have Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock and special advisor to the president of the United States of America, saying that we are going to be tokenizing everything. Okay, so this is now, and that's what they want to do. They want to go ahead and, because the jig is up. Okay, they can't lie to people anymore. The Ponzi scheme is coming to an end, and now that's when they're going to get into the funny business. They want to create a new type of global economic system, and they want basically everyone on tokens. They want it all to be digital, crypto, and tokenization, and that's so that they can just control you even more. So, if you thought that fiat money dollars were controllable and manipulatable by governments, wait until you get into tokens, stable coins, and central banking digital currencies. I mean, they are way more manipulatable and surveillable and confiscatable and, all the other bad things. I mean, it is fiat money, in its worst kind of form, where they can monitor everything. So we just have to fight back against all of that. Not happening on my watch, says Busk Man. I love that. All right, let's go to break. We have Dr. William Makis lined up in the Joy Virtual Studio. We are going to pivot now. Make no mistake, we will be continuing to cover what is happening in the markets, in the economy, what is happening with gold and silver, the US dollar, tariffs, tariff axes, the shutdown, all the things. And we will be reporting that from a fiscally conservative and constitutional perspective here in the Shannon and Joy Show, so that as many of you as possible can begin to get prepared. Now, as you know, we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we're going to bring in Dr. William Makis for an update on the cancer epidemic. Cancers everywhere. It's tragic. As I mentioned in the beginning of the show today, I feel like I am learning of a new cancer diagnosis or death almost every day. And this is being suppressed. People aren't discussing it. We're going to get the truth from Dr. William Makis from his perspective. He is one of the foremost experts on the cancer epidemic, the mechanism of harm with the COVID shots and their relationship to the turbo cancers and the increasing cancers. And also, we're going to talk about cures, ivermectin, membendazole, among other things. So that's coming up in just a minute. But as you guys know, in terms of protecting your wealth, I mentioned a couple days ago that we are not working with Colonial Metals Group any longer here in the Shannon Joy Show. Nothing crazy. They've just moved on. They have been reducing a lot of their sponsorship and advertising partnerships over the past year, really ever since Paul Stone left the company. They had a new CEO come in, and I stuck with them for about 6 months under that new leadership. You guys know I really enjoyed and really appreciated Paul Stone and everything that he did. Things changed a little bit when they brought in that new CEO. And so we're going in different directions. They're still out there. They're still handling people's, gold and silver IRAs. I still have my IRA with them. So everything is great there, but they're no longer sponsors of the Shannon Joy Show. So, many of you have asked me, a lot of you are ready, like you see what's happening in the gold and silver markets, and you really want to move into a portion of your retirement into gold and silver, or you want to purchase gold and silver, right? And I can tell you guys right now, I am so thankful that I have been purchasing physical gold and silver for the past 10 years, because it truly, I'm just beginning to understand how it truly does become a bridge. As everything falls apart, it increases in value. And if things get better, the good news about gold and silver is that if the government stops being corrupt and printing money and doing horrible things to their people and manipulating our economy, well, then gold and silver will necessarily come down, but we'll have all kinds of great opportunities in a thriving, functioning economy. So you win either way. Right? So I would recommend, if you want to do physical gold and silver, why not go to Peter Schiff? Peter Schiff has been out there for 20 years, one of the most consistent analysts out there, and he has some of the best priced physical gold and silver, super close to spot pricing. He's not a sponsor of the Shannon Joy Show, but I think for physical purchases, let's give him some business. So I believe his website is schiffgold.com. That is schiffgold.com. And that's for physical gold and silver. Now, there are many who are you have all of your money invested in your retirement account. A lot of you are very, very concerned about a rug pull happening on Wall Street and the AI tech bubble, which could wipe out people's retirement accounts. So many are moving in as a hedge into physical gold and silver, private equity, private funds, and real estate. And we do have a sponsor that can help you do that right now. That's Rocketdollar. So if you go to rocketdollar.com/Shannon Joy, They have it. There is so much information there. Their blog is unbelievable. Henry Yoshido, I spent about a month getting to know Henry before we brought them on as advertisers. What I love about Rocketdollar is that not only can you do a gold silver IRA through Rocketdollar, you can also move into real estate. And that is, you guys know that my philosophy has been a little bit of everything. So this is not financial advice. This is just what I do. I am in the markets. So I have an IRA, an independent IRA, and Don Polano of PCM and Associates is my financial manager for everything that I do in stocks and bonds, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm also in physical gold and silver, and I also am in a gold and silver IRA. The area I want to be in, and I have desperately wanted to get in, has been real estate, but it's been tough because real estate has been growing so fast. This is a way, Rocketdollar gives you a way to invest in physical real estate as an investment in your backyard using your own IRA or 401k. So that money no longer sits in a highly, highly volatile. And if you've seen the stock market lately, just on a tweet, Trump can send a tweet out and the stock market goes bananas, right? So this is a way that you can consolidate your wealth into something that is more controllable for you, whether it's farmland, real estate, commercial real estate. If you live in a community and you think it's a great place to live and you know that rents are going to be up and there are going to be more renters tragically in the next 5 to 10 years, well, now's the time to go in and look at maybe a multifamily property or even a single family property. Invest in that, and then you can provide a home for someone in your own community. It's a way to take control of your 401k. And that doesn't mean you have to move the whole thing out. It means, you just diversify and move things around. I want to encourage you guys. I'm going to rerun my interview tomorrow with the CEO of Rocketdollar, Henry Yoshida. And I want you guys to consider watching that. He is a wealth of information. We had a great show this week with Jack Gamble, a new resource for the Shannon Joy Show. I'm going to be bringing Bonk de Carnivore in, not next week, but the week after. I was talking to Ed Dowd yesterday. We're going to be bringing him in the week after next. We're going to give you the best sources for truth about your finances over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, probably actually the next 18 months, because that's where everything is going. But right now, if you guys go to rocketdollar.com/Shannon Joy, they have an investor's guide and they have a blog. There's a tab on there where you guys can go to the blog where you'll get some of the best information. It's all for the people. And Henry Yoshida really explained that well in the interview that I did with him earlier this week. So yes, Buskman, we're getting Bonk on. Make sure you guys go there right now. So please go to rocketdollar.com/Shannon Joy. That is rocketdollar.com/Shannon Joy, so that they know that we sent you. You can get the investor's guide and access to all of their great information. They have their heads on straight regarding what is coming. Let's go to break. When we come back, we're going to bring in our guest, Dr. William Makis. Will be with us in just a moment right here on the Shannon Joy Show. Keep it tuned right here. We'll be back in a moment.
Have you thought about backup power for your home or office? Here at Satellite Phone Store, we are well aware of a lot of different scenarios where you may lose power. That could be anything from weather to emergency situations. And we are offering a simple, effective, expandable solution for your home, which is the EcoFlow Smart Home Panel. This panel can be installed in line with the circuitry of your home or office. You have the option of 10 circuits that you wish to power in an emergency. This means that if you want to be selective on what needs power in an emergency situation, you can power just the vitals or more. What this means is that if you want, you can just distribute power to your kitchen, for example, giving you power to keep the refrigerator and cooking going without interruption. If you're in an office, this can serve to keep computers, hard drives, and servers running without interruption. More or less, this lets you tailor a system that lets you conserve and distribute power where you see fit. It is able to power water heaters, well pumps, and dryers. If the power goes down, it will automatically start powering your home in 20 milliseconds, making a seamless transition to backup power. The home panel works with the Delta Pro series, which is expandable. If you want a basic backup system, you can use just one, or plug in two at the same time, which are also capable of being daisy-chained to 2 more units and a smart generator, effectively giving you 25 kilowatt hours of power. If you want something to sustain you for longer, you can purchase as many units as you please as standby, that way you can alternate plugging into the system. The home panel will charge the units from the grid when they are not being used. And if you want, you can add solar panels to the system to continue charging your battery bank even if there's not power coming from the grid. There's also an option for a dual fuel generator that runs off of propane and gas. You need an app in order to set up your home panel. What you will be setting up is the voltage. You can customize the circuits with a name, amperage, and what kind of appliances you are running off that circuit. You can turn on and off each circuit through the app. You can also monitor how much power is being consumed by each circuit. You can create automation so that if the power goes out, it will switch to backup. This also allows you to use the backup system during peak hours from the grid, allowing you to save money when the cost of power is higher. Another really big advantage to the Delta Pro series is that these are portable units. You can use them camping, you can take them to another home, or you can bring them back and forth from your office.
Thank you guys for watching this. If you have any questions, please contact the Satellite Phone Store. We will also be coming out with more videos, so make sure you like and subscribe.
First, a quick word from our sponsor over at Kimchi One from Brightcore. This is an amazing product. You guys know I've been focusing on my gut. It's something that I haven't really paid attention to for most of my adult life, but we need that good 85 to 15% good bacteria to bad bacteria in our gut. And here's some interesting information. Did you know that U.S. life expectancy peaked at 78 years in 2014, and global life expectancy is declining for the first time in 30 years. And this is because people are aging faster than ever before. Why? Because of toxins in the air, chemicals in our soil, in our food, and other external factors, including mass vaccination, that are new to these generations. And what people don't know is that we can actually fight aging on a cellular level, and Kimchi One is one of the ways that you can begin to fight that battle. I take it every day, 3 capsules. It's 100% made in the USA, all natural, non-GMO, and it will support your gut. Right now, Kimchi One is 50% off, 50, but that is only if you use the toll-free number. Call them, have a conversation, 888-912-4317. Right now, limited time, 50% off, free shipping, and they are giving away a free bottle of vitamin D3, which is like a $30 value in and of itself. This is just for the Joy audience. So you have to go to mybrightcore.com/joy. That is mybrightcore.com/joy. The 800 number is right there. If you use the promo code JOY, you'll get a straight up 25% off. But, let's have a conversation. Give them a call. Again, 888-912-4317. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show on this Thursday, October 16th. Without further ado, so thrilled to welcome again into the Joy Virtual Studio our very good friend, Dr. William Makis. He is one of the world's foremost experts on cancers, and he has been treating cancer for decades. He's been healing people of cancer for decades. And this is why he is public enemy number 1 in Canada. I used to think that Dr. Mary Shelley Bowden was the most persecuted doctor in the world, but I think it might go to Dr. William Makis. They have thrown everything but the kitchen sink at this guy, including an entire campaign of imposters pretending to be him. They have censured him. They have stripped him of his medical license. I mean, you name it. And he continues to proclaim the truth and save people. In fact, Dr. Makis has cured one of my very, very, very dear, like close family friend, almost like a sister. And so I will be forever thankful of Dr. Makis. But it's been a while since he's been on the show. He has an amazing Substack that you need to follow. We'll pop that up in the live chat. But welcome, Dr. Makis. Let's bring you in. Thank you for everything that you've done and everything you've continued to do. You are one of my favorites. And it's always, every time I have you on, I'm like, man, I have to get him on more. But how have you been, my friend? You're still, we're talking in the virtual green room during the commercial break. And I said, hey, I'm hearing rumors that we're going to get you here in the United States of America and you're going to come down, but you're still in Canada. How is everything going for you? Before we get into cancer and how you can help people and we can help people, how can we help you? Because you are continuing to just be pummeled with all of these attacks because you're doing such great work with cancer. What is the status of your situation and the persecution that you've been experiencing in Canada?
Well, thank you for having me on again, Shannon. It's been a wild ride for the past year and a half. I started a clinic about a year and a half ago, last summer. And it was a health coaching clinic for cancer patients using ivermectin, bendazole, mebendazole, and other repurposed drugs and supplements. And the reason I started the clinic was because patients kept coming to me, telling me they had been reading my Substack. They were coming to my live events, telling me their stage 4 tumors were shrinking or their cancer had gone into remission, just after reading my articles on ivermectin or fenbendazole. Joe Rogan was reading my Substack on one of his shows about fenbendazole. Wow. And so I thought, I really need to guide these patients, guide them in the literature, the proper dosing, what things to expect, side effects, how to use the repurposed drugs, where to get them, where to obtain them. So it's been an amazing journey. We're closing in on 7,000 patients that we've helped since last summer. I think we're at about 6,900. It's been absolutely incredible. Hundreds and hundreds of testimonials. I post them every single day. I post them on my Substack at Makis. On my Substack, makisw.substack.com. Also on my Twitter account or X account at Makis Medicine. Now, for all my troubles, I've been threatened with imprisonment by the Alberta government. In fact, they filed an application to have me thrown in prison for 3 months. So we fought that for a few months. Then I had my bank accounts raided and frozen. I had my Stripe account frozen and raided for about $150,000. I had my GiftSendGo frozen. That was my legal fund for about $200,000. They froze that for 3-4 months. I had my Wise account frozen and canceled. So they tried to bankrupt me financially. That's the way the Canadian government and the Alberta government, that's how they wage war. We see this with the truckers, right? When we had that successful trucker protest against vaccine mandates, what do? Mark Carney, the current prime minister, actually advised then Prime Minister Trudeau to go after bank accounts of anyone who donated to the Canadian truckers. So they froze hundreds of accounts. And it caused a panic, and people started taking money out of the banking system. And I think it caused such a panic that they sort of pulled back and backed off. But that's the first time in my life I had ever seen bank accounts frozen. And then, of course, I experienced it myself in the past year. When that didn't work, about 2 months ago, the Alberta government went to court with the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Alberta. That's our medical board in Alberta. And they tried to have the government issue a court order to stop me from helping cancer patients, to effectively silence me, to strip me of my credentials on all my social media. So to get me to remove Dr. MD and so on from all my social media, and to effectively criminalize ivermectin in Alberta, in the sense that they were going to shut down my cancer clinic and the 7,000 cancer patients that we've been helping. And so they try to sever that link. Now, what happened was the head of the medical board showed up to court empty-handed, claimed that ivermectin is dangerous, that cancer patients shouldn't use it. He had no documents to back it up. I thought they would at least get some fake patient to claim, maybe a fake fake injury or something, right? I thought like at least fake something, right? And they've done that before. They've paid people to make fraudulent accusations. But they didn't even do that. They showed up literally with no documents, said ivermectin is very dangerous. What Dr. Makis is doing is extremely dangerous. He has to be silenced, stopped. No one should use ivermectin. No one should have the right to try. But the judge was facing a courtroom full of, the public who had come in, completely filled the courtroom. And he was very uncomfortable because he had nothing to make a decision on. And so this is where really, the public coming to the courtroom really helped push back. And I have an incredible lawyer, Catherine Christensen, who is a military lawyer, who's actually helped members of the military go up against the military brass in Canada with the vaccine mandates. And so she's been fighting for military members who didn't want the vaccines. And the Law Society has been after her as well. But she came to court and she fought back. She said, where's your evidence? Where's your documents? Where's your proof that ivermectin is dangerous? And they were silent. They had absolutely nothing to say. But what was incredible is that the head of the medical board, now this is, you can draw a comparison to Dr. Mary Talley Bowden and the Texas Medical Board and the corruption there. They showed up with a court decision pre-typed, pre-written before the court hearing started. So they had a court decision that said, we are awarding the college this court order, silencing Dr. Makis, stripping him of his credentials, and so on. And so the medical board lawyer hands this pre-written court decision to the judge. The judge was embarrassed because it's a rigged court hearing at that point, right? He doesn't want to hear anything that my lawyer has to say. So he had to actually cross out parts of the court order that he didn't want to give them and then signed it. It's a gong show. I mean, it is literally court fraud that the head of the medical board committed. He resigned a month later. He quietly resigned, saying he has to spend. They have to spend time with his grandchildren, and he's heading into retirement. He's controlled the medical licenses of all Canadian doctors for the past 8 years. He went after ivermectin for COVID. He called it a horse dewormer. He said we have to be more aggressive in persecuting doctors who issue vaccine exemptions, who issue prescriptions for ivermectin. So he resigned a month after this fiasco, after he was caught committing court fraud. And so they did issue a temporary court order. We went to the Supreme Court to fight it. So that's in progress right now. But in the meantime, my lawyer said, look, so they don't have anything else to attack you with in the meantime, because they're going to try to destroy you before we even get to the Superior Court. Know what? Why don't you take the doctor and MD, all those credentials from your social media, say you're, compliant with court order, and just continue helping cancer patients, because health coaching is not regulated in Canada. It is not under the medical board's jurisdiction. So they have absolutely no jurisdiction over me helping cancer patients. And so that's what we've done. I've taken down my credentials from our social media. That's why it's no longer at Makis MD. Now it's at Makis Medicine, because I can't use the MD. I can't use the doctor temporarily. So I've taken those down. And this is how nasty and vicious these people are. And it's backed by the provincial government of Premier Danielle Smith, who is a Trump supporter. She went to the inauguration with billionaire Kevin O'Leary. They hung out at the Trump golf course. And in the meantime, she's trying to criminalize ivermectin. She's persecuting doctors like myself. And this is the conservatives. The Canadian conservatives are doing all this to me.
You are making my point. I mean, one of the regular themes of the Shannon Joy Show is the Trojan horse nature of the Republican Party, the conservative movement, Donald Trump. We here in the States, we're 8 months into his presidency. We have Bobby Kennedy at HHS, and we don't really have anything to show for it yet, at least from Washington, D.C. But in the culture and out in the world, we're seeing great victories. And I think that's the story of William Makis, Dr. William Makis, right? Because it's outrageous to me that they have stolen your credentials. You were a medical doctor. I haven't heard of that happening. They did it to Andrew Wakefield, I believe, at the very beginning of all of this. But even recently, even some of the most persecuted doctors in America, Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, among others, Dr. Pierre Corey, they have not had their actual medical credentials withdrawn. That's outrageous that that happened to you, especially given the fact that you have treated 7,000 or advised 7,000 patients over the past year. And you're absolutely right. You know, that volume of work that Dr. Makis is doing, the numbers of people coming in, I mean, listen, it's hard to keep anyone happy about anything these days. The idea that they would not be able to get, anyone to show up at court and actually testify against you or any of your advice, you're going to need a medal. We're going to, I know some documentary people. We need to make a documentary about what you've gone through. Again, Dr. Makis, I don't think that I have seen this type of persecution. I think you take the cake. You're the winner, chicken dinner. But I feel sorry for you, but man, what?
It's not a competition, right? I'm not trying to compete for being, the most persecuted doctor. I know,
Right.
they've gone after, when you look at Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Pierre Corey, Dr. Ryan Cole, they've gone after their jobs, right? So they've been, let's say, fired from their jobs. The big hospitals, Dr. Mary Talley Bowden.
Yep.
They've gone after Dr. Pierre Corey and Dr. Paul Merrick's, I believe, internal medicine certification. So they did try to hit them on their credentials, but I haven't seen anyone attacked for their using their doctor or their MD. I've earned my MD from the medical school. No one can really ever take that away from me. But apparently,
right.
as long as I live in Alberta, right now I can't use it because we have a corrupt medical board that despises cancer patients, hates them, is trying to deny them their right to try. And it's all being backed by Alberta Premier Danielle Smith, who is the hero in Canada, supposedly the hero of freedom fighters, hero of conservatives. And yet I'm facing a really unprecedented persecution for a doctor. I've been threatened with imprisonment. Now, I know Dr. Simone Gold was actually imprisoned in the United States for the January 6th scandal, fiasco, right? So she's been persecuted heavily as well. She's come through the other side. She's defeated that corruption. I'm shocked at what's happening with the Texas Medical Board and their ongoing persecution of Dr. Mary Talley Bowden. It is absolutely unfathomable that this is happening in the United States. I was in Florida the last 2 weeks. I did 2 live events with Dr. Joseph Ladapo, Florida Surgeon General, Dr. Joseph Ladapo. We did some events together, speaking events at the Villages and in Venice, Florida. I got a chance to talk to him about ivermectin use in cancer and my experience with cancer patients over the past year. He's very excited. He was very curious. He had very, very interesting questions that he was asking me about what kinds of patients react, what kind of cancers react, what kind of side effects and success rates, and all of those things, which is what every good doctor should be asking, every cancer center should be doing. And what's incredible is that Florida is leading the United States in this cutting edge cancer research, and Governor DeSantis and his wife Casey DeSantis announced that Florida will be allocating $65 million to research repurposed drugs in cancer that have no big pharma backing, that big pharma can't make billions of dollars from. And they will research ivermectin, mebendazole, maybe fenbendazole for cancer patients the way it should be done by all the large cancer centers. So Florida is leading the way in this regard. And I just read yesterday that the Texas Medical Board is doing the opposite, that they're now forcing patients to fill out forms if they're going to use alternative approaches like ivermectin in cancer. They're going to be forced to fill out forms that are going to be put on their patient charts. So that has to be on their patient charts that they're using alternative medicine, and doctors will basically not be allowed to prescribe ivermectin or mebendazole for use in cancer, even though they're both FDA approved. You can prescribe medications off label if you're doing it properly. And yet Texas is going in the exact opposite direction, whereas Florida is leading the way in medical freedom and right to try for cancer patients.
Very interesting and very disturbing. Texas, once again, being a big big disappointment when it comes to freedom and liberty. The idea that the Texas Medical Board, which works at the privilege of the governor of Texas, Governor Greg Abbott. So he has all the control in the world. He has had nothing to say about the persecution of Dr. Mary Kelly Bowden. In fact, she's going to get spanked tomorrow. They're going to publicly reprimand her tomorrow, which we'll be keeping an eye on. Absolutely outrageous. And yeah, if you're living in Texas and you think that the Republicans are going to come save you just because you live in a red state, think again. Texas is also the site for the largest expansion of the massive data centers, the million square foot mega data centers that they're propping up all over Texas. You guys got a lot of work to do down there. And yes, it's outrageous.
Isn't it interesting, Shannon, that this is happening in Texas? Because I can tell you that the movement in medicine, you talked about everything going digital in terms of the financial system, the tokenization, the digital currency, and all of that. Something similar is going to be happening to medicine very soon. What we're seeing is thousands of doctors getting sick. They're getting sick from the shots. They're having heart issues. They're having heart attacks, strokes, blood clots. They're having cancer. They're getting turbo cancers because 99% of doctors took the shots. They took at least 2 shots. And there's some doctors still boasting on Twitter that they're taking the latest booster shots. I mean, we had President Trump saying he got the latest COVID booster shot too. So that doesn't help the situation either. But the doctors went full in. They went full in on the COVID vaccine fraud. They went full in. 99% of them are vaccinated. I'm seeing actually many of them are coming to me. Now, they're coming quietly. They don't want anyone to know that they've been vaccine injured, that they're developing aggressive cancers. They're coming to me. They're asking for help. They want ivermectin. They want mebendazole, fenbendazole. And what I'm seeing is a lot of doctors are going to be dropping out of healthcare due to health issues. Doctors are retiring early. They're closing their practices in their 40s. In the past, doctors used to work into their 70s. Now they're retiring in their 40s because of heart attacks, strokes, and cancer. And you know what's going to replace them? It's not going to be doctors from overseas or new medical students. It's going to be AI. That's where I see this happening. Within the next 5 years, we're going to see AI creeping into medicine as well.
Unbelievable. And that is why my friends, Bobby Kennedy Jr. testified in front of, I believe it was a Senate or a House committee. And he stated that his mission as the head of HHS is to have every American on a wearable in 4 years. A data collecting, biometric data collecting wearable device. He said it. And so that just shows you how, and I think though, Dr. Makis, this also, people are rejecting AI. Everyone hates AI at this point. No one likes it anymore. So great. I love it. Okay. I think that people are going to I think it's going to open up an amazing opportunity for healers outside of the medical industrial complex. People like yourself who have been ripped of your credentials. You're no longer a medical doctor. That doesn't mean you can't heal people. And that doesn't mean you can't see people. And that is what is so exciting and amazing about what you have done. The amount of patients that you have seen and helped over the past year, 7,000 is absolutely extraordinary. And I think we are that parallel system that we have been talking about for so long. I think we're going to have a shot at getting that up and running because people are going to be desperate for help. And you're right. Yeah. We're going to have the medical industrial complex crushing itself, right? Imploding in on itself because of their insistence on pushing these shots on themselves and other people. And so it's going to necessarily push the market into a truth space, which I think you are in right now. So
and can I tell you, Shannon, I think it shows what's possible. So I was looking at the numbers because I was wondering, okay, well, how many new patients, cancer patients, does a typical oncologist in Texas, in Florida see every year? The typical oncologist, and you can run this through AI, sees about 150 new cancer patients a year. If they're a really busy oncologist at one of the big cancer centers, MD Anderson, Johns Hopkins, Dana-Farber, Memorial Sloan Kettering, they might see up to 300 new cancer patients a year. I had 7,000 cancer patients come to me in the past year. So that's about 20 times just me and my, my very small team, my very small trusted team of unvaccinated helpers. And, and
Well,
7,000.
you want them to stick around, so.
And I've not turned away anybody. We've tried to help absolutely everybody. There's more than 7,000 because there's people who sort of come and go, get a little bit of help, and then they sort of move on. But what I'm trying to show is what's possible. I have not advertised. I don't have a website. This is people who are coming to me simply through seeing my work, seeing interviews like interview with you, interview with Alex Jones and Health Ranger and so on. Dr. John Campbell in UK, we did a 2-hour interview. Tons of cancer patients saw that, came out to me after that. And so it shows what's possible. One person outside of the system, one physician, but working outside of the system, outside of the clutches of the medical board. And I was able to help 7,000 patients in 1 year. This is the power of being outside the system, not being handcuffed to trying to just sell chemo, sell radiation, sell new expensive multi-$100,000 drugs, because that's the alternative. The alternative is, they're pushing everyone into vaccines. And we see the kind of red carpet rollout that Pfizer got at the White House just a few days ago.
I saw it.
We see President Trump shaking hands with Albert Bourla. And, I love Bobby Kennedy Jr. I think, he's terrific. And I think he's in a horrible spot. Because I would not want to do his job. Like, I honestly would not. I don't think I would survive in that position. And he was giving dagger eyes to Albert Bourla, the Pfizer CEO. He was just staring him down. Like,
you guys are so nice. Yeah, you guys are so nice.
But you see, Pfizer gets the rollout, red carpet rollout, gets more deals. He should be getting prison time. Albert Bourla should be getting prison in life, not getting new multi-billion-dollar deals. And they've been very open about what they want to do. Is they want to pump out mRNA cancer vaccines. They want to take this broken, failed technology that's killing people and put it into cancer. Now they want to go after cancer patients. And same with Ellison, the CEO of Oracle, when he was at the White House a few months ago, boasting that AI was going to be the way to new cancer drugs and new cancer treatments. It is a fraud. AI is a bubble, first of all. It's a bubble that's going to burst. And I think we're going to see that over the next couple of years. It's going to implode, and we're going to see it for the fraud that it is.
That's right.
But especially in medicine and in cancer, AI is a complete fraud, and so is mRNA and mRNA vaccines, because I looked at the technology, I looked at what they're actually got in phase 3 trials in UK, in Australia, and what they're going to try to pump out on the market. These mRNA cancer vaccines, first of all, they don't work. So they combine it with an older cancer drug like Keytruda that works. And now you're going to have to go for maybe 20 injections of the mRNA, 10 injections of Keytruda. So now you're going to have to get 30 injections of this garbage, this complete mRNA vaccine garbage that they're going to claim is going to cure cancer or treat cancer, and it's going to cost every cancer patient $500,000, because that's the price tag that's attached to these miraculous new technologies. But when you look at the data, it's not there. They're claiming survival benefit of 10%, 20%.
Oh, my word.
It's nothing. I have stage 4 cancer patients, pancreatic cancer patients who are now cancer-free. I have stage 4 ovarian cancer patients who are cancer-free. Wow. I have glioblastoma cancer patients whose tumors that used to come back every couple of months have stopped coming back, and they're cancer-free. Now my work is actually extending into pediatrics as well. I have a lot of children with cancer, and some of these children are vaccinated. Unfortunately, they had the COVID-19 vaccines, and they developed extremely aggressive cancers. And I'll tell you something else, Shannon, right now, I've seen a shift in the past year. In the beginning, I had a mix of vaccinated and unvaccinated cancer patients. I thought, okay, that's interesting. The vaccinated are obviously much more aggressive. They're turbo cancers, so they grow much more rapidly. But I've seen over at least the last 6 months, a complete shift towards all patients being vaccinated. And I think it's just because more and more cancer is happening in the vaccinated. We're actually seeing huge studies now come out confirming that the vaccinated are suffering anywhere from 20 to 60% increases in cancer. There was a Italian study that came out recently with 300,000 people, and a South Korean study that came out recently with 8 million people,
Wow.
confirming that the vaccinated are suffering significant increases in multiple cancers. So that's being confirmed. Turbo cancer is not a myth. It's not a conspiracy theory, as Wikipedia has been trying to claim for the last 2 years. And what I've been attacked on is trying to warn people about these vaccines, COVID vaccines, causing turbo cancer, whether it's Pfizer, whether it's Moderna, and now it's being confirmed for Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca as well, the DNA-based vaccines as well. So it's all of them. All the COVID vaccines are causing dramatic increases in cancer, and it's just happening more and more. We're getting proof of it in the literature, and these patients need help.
Absolutely. And you're seeing it anecdotally as well. I mentioned to the audience, I always test any type of alarming headline that I see.
Yeah.
So they tell me that, like, Baltimore is burning because of all the illegal immigrant gangs running around. And, like, I always try to test the headline that I'm seeing against what I'm seeing in real life. And the cancers are just devastating. I feel like I learn of a friend or a family member or an associate or a client or a colleague every single day, diagnosed with a cancer, or who lost a loved one from a cancer, or a loved one who was diagnosed with a cancer. And so I don't think you can deny this. It's interesting. Mary Telly Bowden has been ringing the alarm bell about how the United States government and the CDC are not reporting cancer rates. They haven't reported cancer rates for years. And
That's right.
so you have to imagine that they're covering up. Now you mentioned the Italian study, the South Korean study, studies on turbo cancers. It really is a mountain of information, a mountain of data, which is obviously why, the Florida government under Surgeon General Joe Ladapo is devoting $65 million to study cancer treatments, including ivermectin, and some of the protocols that you've been putting together. So I'm really glad to hear that you're working with and talking to Dr. Joe Ladapo about that. In the live chat, some of the viewers are wondering about the mechanism of harm. We had our hunches, and we were surmising back in 2021 and 22 about the mechanisms of harm and how these shots are causing cancers. Can you speak to those mechanisms of harm, and can you speak to the cover-up that we're witnessing from our own government about the cancer epidemic? Because I do believe if we had actual numbers, I think that they would be absolutely stunning. And I don't know if there are numbers, if other countries have done studies on this, or there's anything that we could look to. But I think that that's incredibly important. And we do, at the very least, Bobby Kennedy Jr. can release the numbers. CDC can release the numbers. Like, how many people have cancer? You have all that information. You have all that data. Right. Why can't you release it? Can you speak to those two items?
It's shocking that, whether it's a CDC or the American Cancer Society, Canadian Cancer Society, none of them have put out cancer data after 2021. And, 2021 was when the shots were rolled out. So it's fascinating that we just don't have data for the last couple of years. And I don't know if the data eventually comes out, if it's even going to be trustworthy. I can tell you in Japan, there was a paper that came out that had actually showed data on cancer rates, again, in the vaccinated. And they were forced to pull the paper. It was actually retracted. They were not allowed to publish it. The paper had to be pulled. And this was, I think, about a year and a half ago. So this cover-up has been going on for a few years now. Yeah. And, Shannon, I'm seeing multiple members in the same family now, because they come to me. If they've had success with one family member, now I will get another family member. It'll be a cousin, an uncle, an aunt, sometimes, a brother or sister, and it's tragic.
Right.
I have one family where two cousins, male cousins in their 40s, both diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Now, both of them are now cancer-free. They've done extremely well with combination of ivermectin and fenbendazole, but I'm seeing, multiple family members affected now. So it is I think a tsunami that's sweeping North America, really sweeping all the highly COVID vaccinated countries where the uptake was 80%. But I would love to see Bobby Kennedy put out the cancer data. I think we need it. Now, the mechanisms of action are that's very interesting. There's many papers on this. I think the tragedy is that there are multiple mechanisms of action. I think every component of the COVID vaccine can contribute to cancer. And we don't know right now which are the main drivers of cancer. My personal hypothesis is that it's the damage to the immune system that is driving the cancer. I think we're seeing extensive immune system damage across the board in the vaccinated population because they get infected more often. So they keep getting COVID, and they'll say, well, I got my 6th or 7th COVID shot, and I've gotten COVID 6 times now. They keep getting sick. They keep getting sick with other infections like influenza. They keep getting viral reinfections, with Epstein-Barr virus and HSV, herpes simplex, and so on. They get shingles. So their immune systems are damaged and destroyed. And this is happening to kids as well. The kids are also getting damaged immune systems. I think that's going to be one of the big drivers of cancer. We'll see that. But the work that Kevin McKernan is doing in terms of the DNA contamination of the vaccines, the SV40 promoter and the plasmids that have contaminated the vaccines because of the mass manufacturing process that Pfizer and Moderna are using and that are still using, he's actually now discovering the vaccine component, so the DNA contamination, which has a spike protein, integrating into cells, and he's finding it in cancers, in tumor cells. This is actually where the research is right now. Is there's already several papers coming. They tested the tumor, they did genetic testing on the tumor, and they found the vaccine component integrated into the tumor cell, and it's in all the tumor cells.
Oh my word!
Right, and so
Isn't
this
that
is
a direct?
where.
Isn't that a direct correlation? Isn't that like a smoking gun? That's a smoking gun.
It is, but they're going to say, well, it's just one case and it's anecdotal and all this, or it's a couple of cases and it's anecdotal. But this is where I think the research is being focused to prove that, yes, this genetic therapy, because it's not a vaccine, and I posted about this recently. This was from the SEC filings of Moderna. They stated this is a gene therapy. It's not a vaccine. Right. It's first of all, it's contaminated. So it's got all kinds of genetic junk in there. It's not just the modified mRNA. It's got the DNA contaminations. It's got DNA mRNA hybrids. It's got double-stranded RNA hybrids. It is literally a cocktail of genetic junk encapsulated in a lipid nanoparticle, which itself is quite toxic. That is delivering this genetic junk all over our body. It's dumping it into the bone marrow. So we're seeing leukemias and blood cancers like multiple myeloma. It's dumping it into the brain, crossing the blood-brain barrier because it's a lipid particle. It crosses very easily. And I'm seeing brain cancers, the most aggressive brain cancers you can imagine, the glioblastomas. It's dumping it into the ovaries and testicles. We're seeing ovarian and testicular cancers. It's dumping it into the kidneys. I'm seeing kidney cancers. And so wherever this genetic material goes, and it doesn't stay in the arm, that was the big lie. I think that was one of the biggest lies that people should go to jail for the rest of their lives, who created this monstrosity. And it doesn't stay in the arm. About 75% of it is in the bloodstream within a couple of hours. And it's delivering this genetic junk with the lipid nanoparticles all over the body. And the most shocking situation that no one's talking about, and I've talked about this, put out a few articles on this, is it crosses the placenta and it's dumping the genetic material into the fetus. The fetus takes it up. And now I'm seeing cancers. I'm seeing cancers in fetuses in utero. These babies are developing tumors in the womb. And so there's a case not that long ago of triplets being born. I think the first one had a tumor that grew in utero and then through the placenta, transferred it to the second one. So the second one developed cancer a few months after being born. I mean, these are horror stories, Shannon. These are absolute horror stories. This stuff, this mRNA technology needs to be halted and banned. It needs to be banned. I don't care if they're going to try to investigate it for the next 20 years and try to figure out what went wrong. This is extremely dangerous. It's got to be banned because we're going to be overtaken completely with cancer. And Pfizer and Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla is actually super excited about this. And he's publicly stated that 1/3 of all people will get cancer, guaranteed, and that he's going to scale up production of cancer drugs and mRNA cancer vaccines the way he scaled up production for COVID vaccines. Now, we know that Pfizer pumped out billions of mRNA COVID shots. So why is he talking about scaling up production of cancer drugs and cancer vaccines? Is because he anticipates such a big tsunami of cancer himself. He knows, obviously, that his product is responsible for these cancers.
And this is the business model of the medical industrial complex. The human
This is why
being.
this is why they're so excited. You're going to see, like,
Yeah.
these guys are so excited.
want
These
us
big
to-
pharmaceutical companies, Pfizer going into the cancer business, Johnson and Johnson going into the cancer business, BioNTech going into the cancer business, AstraZeneca, top 10 cancer drug sales in the United States. All of them are headed into the cancer business. They're acquiring small cancer drug companies. They're paying double or triple the market value. Nobody knows this, but there was, in the last year, there was over $100 billion in acquisitions of big pharma companies buying up all the small cancer drug companies they can get their hands on, because they know this is where all the money is. It's not in the vaccines. They know they're going to have a very hard time pushing out another mRNA vaccine on us because the uptake is what, 5%, 10%? Who's getting the latest booster shot other than President Trump?
No one.
Nobody's getting the next booster shot.
Idiot.
Right? So nobody wants this. Nobody wants this stuff. People know on some level that this stuff is toxic, even if they don't want to admit it to themselves, that they took 2 or 3 shots that they shouldn't have. Nobody wants the mRNA tech. They'll still try to push it on us, but nobody wants it. That's why all the pharmaceutical giants are moving into cancer, because they know over the next 5 to 10 years, that's where all the money's going to be made.
Unbelievable. This is why you are public enemy number one. This is why you are the most persecuted medical doctor on the face of the planet, because what you are doing with your 7,000 patients and ivermectin plus fenbendazole, your refusal to back down, your refusal to stop seeing patients and advising them and consulting with them is attacking the largest, most disgusting, dystopian business model on the face of the planet. Because now that they have injected millions of people with poison and contributed to these cancers, they are now going to feast on those bodies and make as much money as they possibly can, injecting these poor, desperate, frightened people and by the way, they'll clean you out of all your savings. They'll empty the 401ks. They'll empty your bank accounts. They'll destroy your businesses. They will steal their children's inheritances. They will take all of it. That's how vicious and vile and nasty the system is.
I always say that every cancer patient is a $500,000 to $1 million walking savings account for big pharma that they will drain down to zero, and then they'll let you die. And this is what's happening and patients experience this for themselves when they go to the large cancer centers. All they're ever offered is chemotherapy, immunotherapy. They're never offered anything else. And I actually ask my cancer patients, has your oncologist offered you any cheap, effective, repurposed drug or option to treat? And the answer is always no. They never offer anything other than extremely expensive treatments. And they'll put you on first-line chemo, second-line chemo, immunotherapy, clinical trial. And when you've exhausted all of those things and made the pharmaceutical industry rich, then they'll say, oh, sorry, we have no options left for you. And that's, unfortunately, when a lot of patients are coming to me. Well, fortunately or unfortunately. Unfortunately, in the sense they're coming very late. And so I'm given extremely difficult cases. Stage 4, the cancer has spread to the liver, bones, brain. Those cases are hard. We can still get a lot of those patients into remission, or at least get them significantly improved. But it's a big challenge at that point. But ivermectin, mebendazole, which are both FDA approved and on the WHO list of most important medicines, both ivermectin and mebendazoles are on that list of most important medicines that we have. They're cheap, and honestly, you can treat cancer for a couple of $100 a month. And I ran the numbers, and if you really, try to save as much as you can, you could literally treat your cancer for $50 to $100 a month.
my word.
If you really sort of don't have the funds. But a couple of $100 a month to treat cancer, put your cancer into remission. This is for big pharma. This is extremely dangerous for them and their profit model, because the cancer drug business is a $200 billion a year business. Now imagine those $200 billion, if that becomes 100 billion, 50 billion, 25 billion, a lot of these big pharma giants are going to go bankrupt, and they should go bankrupt. I want to see Pfizer go bankrupt. I want to see Moderna go bankrupt. I don't want to see them put out another garbage product that's going to hurt millions of people and hurt and kill children, or give them cancer, or give them a lifelong risk of cancer. These guys should go bankrupt. The assets should be given to the people, and the CEOs and the board directors should go to jail. I mean,
that's right.
I want to see these collapse and be pushed out. They should have nothing to do with medicine. They shouldn't be given more deals at the White House. Like, that to me is just unconscionable.
An unholy alliance between the Trump administration and the criminals who have done this. It's horrifying. Dr. William Makis, I have so many more questions for you, but we've run out of time. I know you have another interview coming up. I want to ask you about cancer prevention using ivermectin and fenbendazole and menbendazole. I want to talk about the mechanisms of healing and how ivermectin and these cocktails that you are putting together are saving so many lives and helping so many people. I want people to know how they can contact you and get in line and in queue, if they have a loved one. I think that what I would love to do is if you could let them know how, like, the best way, because there are a lot, unfortunately, one aspect of the persecution of Dr. William Makis, in addition to stripping him of his medical credentials and also trying to put him in jail, they're also deploying fraudulent imposter accounts. And so it's very important that if you guys want to get a hold of Dr. Makis, you have to go through the proper channels, through a Substack. But can you tell everyone exactly what they need to do if they want to get in touch with you and get in queue, if they have cancer, if they have a loved one with cancer and they want to begin this process? Can you let them know exactly how to do it?
Certainly. So my email is info@makisw.com. Again, info@makisw.com. Be very careful, because the scammers are using variations of spelling. They're creating fake emails. They're creating fake websites. So we just took down makisw.net, which was a fake website. There's drmakismd.com, which was a fake website, which we're trying to take down. I don't have a website right now. I honestly don't feel comfortable setting up a website in Canada, setting up a clinic in Canada, because 4 days into my health coaching of cancer patients, I had the medical board, the College of Physicians of Alberta, send 2 fully armed Edmonton police officers to my house, my home address, to harass my wife, my kids on a Sunday afternoon, and just show their presence. Just say, yeah, we were sent by the college, and you've done some speeches we don't like, and you've been doing things that we don't like, and we're just here to basically, intimidate you. And so, if I relocate to the United States, for example,
let's go.
I will be able to actually set up a website, a big clinic, have a physical location that patients can go and visit, and we can do this properly at the proper scale. But for now, it has to be telehealth, and through my email, info@makisw.com. And if you're struggling, or if you want some information right away, go to my Substack, makisw.substack.com. There's a wealth of information. I post my cancer testimonials every single day, and you can get a lot of information there.
Okay. All right. You probably get a lot of emails. What should they put in the subject heading line of the email if they are in an urgent need and they want to get a hold of you? You
could just say urgent consultation request.
Okay.
Please help. Whatever. Just something that'll catch our attention.
Okay. I popped that up in the live chat, info@makisw.com. Dr. Makis, I need to have you again soon. I know you're so busy, But I really do want to talk about healing. I want to have that conversation. This was the scary conversation. I want to talk about that healing conversation with you as well. And we want to help you in any way we possibly can. Let's get you to the United States of America. I know, it's hard to leave your homeland, but man, we could use you here, and would love to bless you and all of your efforts as much as we can. God bless you, Dr. Makis, and we'll be praying for you, that you're kept safe, your family is kept safe. Thank you for all of your service and what you have done for so many Americans, including people that I love. So we'll be ever thankful to you. Anything else you want to say before you head off?
Honestly, just don't lose hope. I think the difficulty is that patients who are in dire situations, I have patients on hospice who now have been put out of hospice because they're doing too well. They're just doing extremely well. I had patients in Canada who were offered medical assistance in dying. They were offered euthanasia by their doctors, and they're now cancer free. I have several of those patients now. So don't lose hope. There are always options. And if your oncologist tells you they have nothing left to offer you, or they have no more options, they're lying, or they're just working on behalf of Big Pharma, because what they're really saying is that we have no other way to make money off you, so we have nothing that we're going to offer you at this point. Don't lose hope. Keep fighting, keep researching, keep reading. There's a lot of help out there.
Amazing. And Dr. William Makis' Substack is some of the best information. Success story after success story, miracle after miracle. He posts them all on his Substack account, along with the most relevant and the most important studies coming out from across the world. It is one of my go-to places for all that information. So you keep up the great work, and we'll get you back into the studio again to talk about that healing. And you're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.
All right. Okay, guys, we're going to go to a quick break, commercial break. We're going to come back and close up the show. Amazing, an amazing gentleman. It's so tragic to me that we don't have a million more Dr. William Makises practicing and helping people and healing people across the globe. And we know that we don't have that because it's been suppressed. Because there is this massive dark cloud, this wet blanket, this insidious force, the medical industrial complex that is propped up by the government, this president, and it is keeping that healing at bay. And it really, really frustrates me. But let's keep pushing this information out. Again, you cannot go to a website. Dr. Makis has his Substack, and if you want to get a hold of him, it is an email address. So write this down, info@makisw.com. That is makisw.com. info@makisw.com. That is the best way to get a hold of him, because there are so many imposter accounts out there. So you guys want to make sure you're either on his Substack, getting information there, or if you need that email address is what you're going to want to use. All right, guys, quick commercial break. We're going to come back, close out the show, say hello to all of you, and then we'll be off to the races. Keep it tuned right here. We'll be back in a minute.
Get ready to rethink how you build and deploy your retirement wealth.
Traditional investing is dead.
Aggregated total of monies in retirement funds in the U.S. are pushing $35 trillion right now.
The capital's there, and it's invested in just basic stocks, bonds, mutual funds. And I think that the investor of today just needs to expand what they can do with that money.
So with Rocketdollar, you can make private and alternative investments, single-family property, homes, limited partnership investments in private equity and venture funds. It could be even cryptocurrencies or digital assets and everything in between. Holding real estate next to your public stocks, and I always joke around that it's no longer the S&P 500, it's the S&P 7. And dollar for dollar, if you own these inside of IRAs,
you typically end up getting 20 to 40% better annual returns than owning the same investment outside of that IRA account, because you don't have to pay taxes on an ongoing basis. I have parents who have no retirement savings because they work in the restaurant industry. I love that I figured out a way to be impactful to Main Street, normal working individuals, people that it would have changed the course of my parents' lives had they met someone like that.
This is Jennifer with darkbags.com. I wanted to show you our latest product. This is our laptop sleeve that has a over-the-shoulder carrying strap, as well as these two straps on the side, so you can kind of hold it like a briefcase. What's special about this is that there's actually a Faraday bag built in to this backpack that fits up to a 17-inch laptop. So here's my laptop, I'm gonna put it in. Once you put your laptop into this sleeve, your company can no longer track you, because they do track you after you log off of work and you put your computer to the side, they're still tracking you wherever you go. Another thing that's awesome about the Faraday pouch that's in this bag is that it blocks excessive EMF radiation that's being emitted to you, so that those harmful pulses will not reach you. And also, in case there's an EMP, this protects your electronics from the EMP. So not only does it fit your laptop, you can put your phone, you can put your wallet in here as well, and it will be protected. There is cushioning on the sides, so it'll keep all of your electronic accessories safe in here. This will be available on darkbags.com.
Blood Flow 7, an amazing product. Your blood's so important. It delivers oxygen to every aspect of your body, your brain, your heart, your lungs. And that oxygen, it is healing, it is life-sustaining, it is absolutely necessary. If your blood isn't flowing properly, which so many Americans, because they've had multiple COVID shots, the spike protein, the mRNA technology, you name it, this is why we're having blood clotting. It is devastating. You have to make sure that your blood is flowing. And that is the mission of the folks over at Blood Flow 7. You take it every day. It's a patented formula, and it works by boosting the body's nitric oxide, NO levels, up to 230%, and also opening the arteries up to 62% to improve your blood flow through your body and deliver that oxygen. In fact, we had David Knight on the Shannon Joy Show a couple days ago, and he was singing the praises of this type of product. He doesn't use Blood Flow 7, but he does use a product like this that boosts nitric oxide. If you have a family member or a loved one who has heart issues, heart conditions, if you have a family member or a loved one who was injured by COVID vaccines or COVID itself, blood clotting, any of those issues, this is the type of product that you want them to be on and that you want to be on yourself. So bloodflow7.com/joy. That's bloodflow7.com/joy. Right now, 25% off. This is a limited time offer. You also get free shipping. You can peruse their 5,000 five-star reviews. It's a great product. So once again, bloodflow7.com/joy. It's number 7, bloodflow7.com/joy. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. I see you on the live chat, Green Tea 369. Shannon, that transition sound is awful. It hurts my ears. I like the Zappy Zap. I think it sounds great, but Green Tea 369, if it hurts your ears, maybe we'll try something else. Sleeping Giant 111, I see you on the live chat. Thank you guys so much for being with us today and supporting the Shannon Joy Show. Mark the Regan. So Rocketdollar replaced Colonial Metals, eh? Not really. It was actually, divine intervention, I suppose, that Rocketdollar came in as a sponsor. Again, I mentioned to you guys in our original deal, I was like, well, we can talk about Rocketdollar and all of the great things they can do, particularly real estate. That's why I wanted to bring Rocketdollar in. And as I mentioned, I met with Henry Yoshida multiple times over the course of a month before we brought them in. And so in that transition was when it kind of became evident that Colonial Metals was not going to come back on as a sponsor. I should probably stop talking about them. Thanks a lot, Mark the Regan. Come on. But anyway, that's when we got the idea that they weren't going to be coming back. And there really isn't a salacious, crazy story there. They just went in a different direction. And so, and it wasn't just me. It was, I think they're moving all of their marketing into a different direction because a lot of us who were working with them are no longer. But it doesn't matter. I'm going to work on a new gold client. It might be Rocket. We might do it through Rocket or we might do it through another company. you guys know I love Peter Schiff. I should probably reach out to him as well. It does not change the fact that I am you guys know that I have been a proponent of physical gold and silver, and especially the gold and silver in the IRA, moving a portion over to protect and hedge against the chaos, especially for people who have, a big retirement account. Like that is a big deal to me. And so all I have to do is just find a company that I know is going to take great care of you guys. And I'll do my due diligence with that. I think Rocketdollar, I mean, you can do an IRS or an IRA, not the IRS, an IRA account through Rocketdollar. Go to my website though, so they know that I sent you. It's rocketdollar.com/ShannonJoy. And they have the exact same situation where you can go in and switch over a portion of your retirement account to a gold and silver backed, a physical gold and silver backed IRA. So that is the story to answer your question, Mark the Regan. And you know what happens? You have advertisers and then, they fish in the pond for a little while and then they go somewhere else and you just, keep bringing people in. And personally, I think I always bring the best advertisers in. Like I do as best I can to make sure that, they're great products. All the products that I talk about, I use. So, oh my gosh, Bill Benz, why are you asking? I just explained what happened with Colonial. Are people not listening to the show? Like I have had 3 chatters. I'm not going to explain it again. Love you, Bill Benz, but I've explained it twice already. So hit rewind and you can hear the whole story. Be My Valentine. Yes, on Peter Schiff. Peter Schiff is like, he right now is taking a victory lap, man. That guy has been proven so right on so many things. Yeah, he's great. All right, we're going to get out of here. CJP Rumble, thank you. Yes, I have. I've explained it like 3 times. So this is a great show. I think we're going to do an early morning tomorrow. We're going to wrap up the show now. We went so late. TJ, I'm so sorry. We got started late that frankly, I just could not stop. I didn't want to stop Dr. William Makis from talking today because he was just doing so well. So tomorrow we will do we'll probably do an informal SJ town hall hey fam. It's basically me trying to get all of you on to call in. And it's a little bit crazy. It's behind the paywall on Rumble for Rumble Premium. And we had some tech difficulties last week. I'm going to try again this week, but we might do it earlier. So keep an eye on my Rumble channel. I might do something low key tomorrow morning with coffee from my home, self-producing, might do something with Mary Bowden. I might not. I don't know really what I'm going to do. So just keep an eye on the Rumble channel. Make sure that you sign up for the Shannon Joy Show emails, www.theshannonjoy.com, theshannonjoy.com. I send out an e-blast every single day, so you'll never miss a broadcast. You'll never miss a show. Sometimes with Rumble, it's up and down. I don't know that the e-blast always goes out for Rumble. So get over to my website, by the way. The website's looking brand new. We are zhuzhing it up. It's more dynamic. We have a lot more on there. So we're going to be promoting that pretty soon. But go to the website right now, theshannonjoy.com, theshannonjoy.com, and sign up for that daily email newsletter. Okay, thank you guys so much for being with us today. We might or might not see you tomorrow, but there will be a live broadcast with the interview with Henry Yoshida from earlier this week tomorrow. So make sure you keep it tuned right here. Have a great day. We'll see you soon. And make sure you keep the faith.